Life and death are inseparable entities. You can't have one without the other, and whether you believe in life after death or not, death is a certainty for us all. For those who work in the funeral industry, death is a simple reality, sometimes with complex circumstances. Dealing with the dead is an important job that the general public don't often give considerable thought to. It is a line of work which requires sensitivity, professionalism, and practicality. For funeral assistants like Rade, practicality is at the core of his work.
Put plastic under to prevent any leaking and things like that. You keep things under control because body can be leaking from various reasons, blood and particular reasons, depend what they die. I know it's not romantic, but it's practical. Because people think there is some mystery behind it. There is no mystery, just you try to be practical.
Rade has worked for Lonergan and Raven funerals for the past 20 years, after he moved here from war-torn Croatia as a Serbian immigrant. His role as a funeral assistant is varied. He prepares the coffins, performs mortuary work, and sometimes helps to make the bodies presentable for open cask viewings.
First, what is sinking is ice. For example, this thing is you put under ice cup, and that keep ice like it is ice. Actually, they're sinking very quickly because it's a lot of water.
As well as seeing to these basic considerations, Rade also does the deceased's makeup.
It's much harder on dead body because it's cold. You take it from refrigeration and then condensation make it even wet. And it's much harder to apply makeup. I know they look pretty basic, but it's very effective because that make what alive people are doing is completely different than this. As girls know, mostly you make yourself different when you're going for wedding, when you're going in restaurant, things like that, what you will do makeup for death. You know, just a little bit, you know, try to make them, we call it presentable.
After necessary preparations are made to the body, the friends and family are able to grieve together at a service. Lonergan and Raven Funerals in Clifton Hill is Melbourne's eldest funeral home.
So I'm Nigel Davies. I'm Managing Director at Lonergan Raven Funerals. I got into this fairly accidentally. My father happened to work part-time for a company in Geelong, and they rang him one day and said, "We have a deceased to be collected, but we don't actually have anybody to go with you." And I was 16, I was still sitting in my school uniform trying to do my homework, and he turned to me and said, "Would it worry you collecting a body?" And being 16, I said, "How much does it pay?" Police work, suicides, accidents, parachutes that didn't open, train wrecks. I'd done everything by the time I was 21.
Becoming desensitised to death is something that those who work in the funeral industry try to avoid. Despite being exposed to death so often, workers are still affected by certain cases.
To be honest, it's very emotional too. I have wartime experience, but still when someone young dies or children affects me very badly. When they die from sickness, you understand, but overdose and suicides, it's just worse.
There's a lot more involved in supporting a family through that. And there's no right answer for any of that.
It's a reality of life, fragility of life, but still affects me. If I say differently, I will lie. No.
A body is something that somebody used to live in. You've got to treat it with respect. You've got to provide for it the way you would provide for your own relatives and friends. And you've got to never lose sight of the fact that you're dealing with somebody who is important.
This has been Scarlett Maloney reporting.